We gaan nu praten. Ik heb hier naast mij zit Erik Glijnis. Hij is producent bij Lemming Film. En we hebben ook via Zoom bij ons Ismae, de regisseur van de film. Welcome Ismae. We're honored to have you here. It's a very impressive film. Let me ask you, today we're talking about the process. Let me first ask you, what motivated you to make a movie about the attack on the Maalbeek station? What set you off? What triggered you? Like, this is something I must do. How did that go?
Yeah, the first thing that I could say about it is that at that time I was when all the events happened, I was living in Brussels, especially in Molenbeek quarter, and yeah, since the 13th of November, like all the perception of this district was different because of the medias, especially like US medias. We remember what Trump said about this place, like the hellhole of Europe, of terrorism. And because of that, I started to think about a film project that could, give to the audience another point of view of Molenbeek. So I just started to put my camera on some places, like running the camera for days, during days, and people were talking to me very randomly, like, why are you putting this camera there? And then after that, some people were just talking about deep things, really deep things, and it was moments like that very different from what we can hear from the news and what we imagined about these people who were living there. But of course, there was this event on the 22nd of March, and it destroyed like a lot of life. It was a difficult moment for all the people, and it also destroyed this first project. But because it was there, I was in the city. I just came back to Brussels the day before in Zaventem, and on a personal view, I had to take this metro station on this morning at the same hour to start to edit a feature film. And because I was very tired from my travel the day before, I just asked to the director, can we postpone the meeting from 1 hour? So imagine what happened in my mind when I just opened the smartphone in the morning with like hundreds of messages saying, where are you? Because we know that you take this metro every day. So because of that, even if I'm very rational, and when I was in Paris during the 13th of November, it was like something different. I found a way to handle the situation and the emotion because I'm not, I'm not Parisian. I come from south of France, so my relation with Paris is like a stranger. But because I lived in Brussels for 8 years, and one of my first apartments was just in front of the station, I have an emotional relation to this space. So I had like a strange feeling, like how to say, I was astonished by the event. And because of the situation, of the medias, of everything, I tried to go beyond that. And one of the first idea that I had was to meet a lot of people that were like in deep connection with the events. So I met David Crunel, who was the first person to tweet about the terrorist attack, and that he was harassed by thousands of journalists saying, can we use your picture? And even never asked like, how are you? How do you feel? Like just using the pictures to inform all the world. So I met firemen, and also I contacted an association like 1 year after, and in this association of victims, one person wrote me. It was Sabine, the main character of my film. And she just told me like, hey, sorry, I took a lot of time to answer you, but I'm very open to meet you and just to discuss about what happened for me, because if you saw the film, you know that she was in that train who exploded because of the bomb. And she just told me like, the problem is that I don't remember anything, so we can only talk about nothing. Mm-hmm. And I just said, yeah, okay, let's go. I don't know what would be the conversation. But,
when you started, it was very personal for you. It got on your skin, and you started very broad. But when you talked to her, did you know this is my angle? Were you immediately sure, like this is it?
It was not for a film. I didn't meet her for a film. Mm-hmm. It was like just to have another point of view of all the events, because what I forgot to say is always difficult. It was a 4 years film, so we have a lot of process in mind. For example, like 2-3 days after the events, I was like, okay, I cannot do my first idea, my first film idea. So the second part of my process was that I tried to film all these journalists who stood for 10 days in La Bourse place, you know? It was like a theater. They were in front of this Bourse talking about nothing, like for 9/11, like it was a GIF, you know, like an endless loop of the same information with nothing more. It happened, then there was nothing. And I filmed them, and my second idea was like, maybe we have to film all this theater scene, because this is the game that the terrorists want we play, you know. Image is the real terrorism. So I thought about filming that absurd situation. But after I met Sabine, this was different. And maybe 1 week after, I was like, maybe there is something more interesting about this point of view that nobody experienced. I mean, we all had this feeling of over-mediatized event and all the consequences that we can have because of that. And she had no memories, but the pain was somewhere else. And maybe this would be more interesting to talk about emptiness over this media problem. So, but still it was difficult, because talking about emptiness is super difficult. And the subject, I had to stop it for a time, because it was difficult to have all these images, because of course I do investigations, what was filmed back then, and it was not just medias who filmed. The first people who filmed was amateur. So these amateur videos were very harsh, very hard, very difficult to watch. So I had to stop, and then I worked again on the project, middle of 2019. Yeah.
And did you have room, because we have a producer here, did you work with a producer that gave you the space to do this in these steps with the timing that you needed, or?
No. When I pitched to a producer, he said it's not bankable, you know. Mm-hmm. So. And I met some other people who were afraid about the violence in the pictures of the amateur videos. They were like, questioning, like maybe some kind of fear about pornography of it. Like, why do you show it? But for me, it was not the idea of showing this amateur video, even if it's very shocking. It was because what I understood from Sabine is that it was the only elements that she could watch to try to find her image in the pictures. It's not to see what happened. She already knew what happened. Everybody said all the story for her. So she was not looking at the violence. She was looking for something else, for the missing images that is not in her mind. So for me, it was interesting to use these pictures, but to put another context, how we can watch it on another angle and not being traumatized again.
How do you look at it from your producer's perspective or from a film perspective?
Well, no, I really enjoyed the film, and I think the perspective of the film and your urgency and also your experience as an editor, I felt throughout the film. The first point of the film being bankable, I don't know any short documentaries or like short films that are bankable in that sense. And I think talking about exploitation, your care for the subject is already coming across now in the first minutes of this talk. So I wouldn't be afraid to touch upon the upon such a subject if you have the right intention. What I felt when watching the film is, or what you answered some of the questions I had. I thought it was a reconstruction of what happened, and I thought the perspective of being along with someone who is afraid but also intrigued to fill in this memory was a very strong perspective. But now hearing that it was not a construction, but maybe you have been alongside with this journey, makes it even more incredible. Yeah, so could you tell something about how you worked together with the main subject of the film?
Well, with Sabine, Sabine, what I have to say is that this film wouldn't be possible if Sabine was not an artist, because she's an artist. She understands what I was looking for. I mean, to go beyond like documentary, to document something. She knew that I tried to figure out this thing that we cannot feel because it's very unique to her, and because of that she was very open to experiment. I mean, and she gave me hours of talk. She answered a lot of questions. She was searching with me some ideas on, and I followed her also in her quest, you know. Even, was not always, we were not always together, but I had this timeline since, since 2017. So, but something that I want to add is that I found producers after, just to put it in context, but it was in the last part of the process. So for a long time I was alone experimenting, and I just presented one piece of work during an exhibition in November 2019. So the first cut, the first work in progress was for an exhibition, an art exhibition. Mm-hmm. So that's another circuit. But what I found interesting is that at a point I found some producers in cinema who believed in that point of view or idea of combining animation with documentary, because for me I had hope to do something on this very deep topic, because I watched again Waltz with Bashir, and in the end I was like, okay, it's also a movie about someone who was amnesia, and he used animation for that, to reanimate the memory. And I found this, this concept very, very deep. And I was like, okay, I think it's what I have to do with this story. And at the point in 2017, I was also thinking about just put a black screen with the text of Sabine, but there was this film of Iñárritu, 9/11. He made something like that, a short film about the 9/11 events, and I realized that it was not a film about questioning medias or the pornography of images. It was just an experience of PTSD, a PTSD when you have flash of these falling people from the towers. And this was not my story. So this couldn't be just a black screen, because this is not the experience that we have. Even if we have the temptation with someone who doesn't remember, it's not just emptiness in her mind. It's just a fragmented memory, and it's a metaphor of the bomb, you know. So that's why I use this motif, this pattern for the visual. Yeah.
How did you create this? It looks like a point cloud, cloud of a, yeah, I don't know, it's very technical, but how did you actually create it? Because it isn't scanned, or is it? How did you make it?
So this was, I mean, one of I fixed that concept in the visuals, but that was not the only one. I tried many things, like blur animation, inspired by Gérard Richter, who also painted one work about the 9/11, which is the blurred paint of towers with the clouds. But it was a bit, there were a lot of limitation in the movement. Movement is all the proto-cinematic movement. So for me, movement is the most important thing.
I don't know if you can hear me, Ismae, but we experience a little bit of lagging.
And because of that, okay, do you hear me right now?
Yeah, now we hear you again, yeah. And we see you move. Try again.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's, okay. So I tried to another animation and pictures of the pictures with
Ismae, I'm going to have to interrupt you for a second because it's still. I go to my guest over here for a second, and I hope everything becomes better at your side. Share some thoughts of what he's been telling you about, or what are your experiences?
Yeah, well, it was the second film of Ismae I saw, and it was a complete different film. And I think for the first time that I saw the combination of different elements he used. And I also get somehow that this was a film that started maybe by himself and his experience as an editor and a director to dive into the material and test it. So I would have a lot of questions on the creation, and because what I really enjoyed within the film is that it's taking several turns. You think you know something, and then a new perspective opens up, and it has a strong narrative element, whereas the friend is being introduced, and we hear the memory. So I was all the time I was turned, and I had a very honest look within a subject that I only knew by media because it was huge in the Netherlands, and I remember it was a time of a lot of things happening around that point. So I just knew it from the paper. So getting this insight.
Yeah.
Are you back with us?
Yeah. I turned off the HD. Yeah. Okay. Do you hear me correctly?
Yes, yeah. Definitely, loud and clear.
It's countryside. So I was saying that I tried many different, essay in animations that took a lot of time. Really, it was time consuming because for animation, everybody is like doing, they are doing storyboards and everything, and I don't work like that because it's documentary, so I have to experiment it first. So because the blur aesthetic was a bit limited with the movement, we ended up taking photos of all the spaces, and we tried to transform it into 3D, but we wanted something like deconstructed. I mean, I was looking for something that holds the events inside the textures, like the essence of what happened. And for me, it was fragmentation, like a mental landscape of Sabine's mind, So we experimented some 3D scanners softwares, and we used like one of the steps, like one representation of the scan that is cloud points. I mean, all points, like pixels points, and we made a render into a game engine to get real time and to do the cinematography real time, like a real shooting. You know, I don't like to put to prepare everything and to render putting a point. I just do it like if I was in the real world. It's the same process for me. Doesn't matter. I have to try, like if it's real in front of me, even if it's 3D.
Yeah, it was a beautiful visual metaphor. And in this game engine, did you feel the freedom to operate like that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I can try many things real time. So it's like a pencil, you know. You have an idea, you try it, and it's now. So you can make thousands of try, and you skip the storyboard process. Yeah.
So an iterative process. Erik, you were in the meantime, when you had your little problems with the lagging, you were telling that you found it so beautiful that the movie made turns.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, and by that I mean that at some point I just kept opening new views on the perspective of your main character and introductions on, and I was wondering somehow. Someone mentioned the idea of CCTV, that she could look up these images, and then I was totally shocked and amazed that you had the real footages of that person, and I could see myself sitting on that, and so it opened up my mind several times within the film, which is an amazing thing for a short film to make that happen. And I was wondering at that point Yeah, that's what I said, like, it feels like a reconstruction, but you have been there at that point. Who introduced the idea, and did you then went to do this research to those images together, and you watched them together? How was that to experience?
I was guided by, the Sabine's point of view and all the texts that I recorded. And what was interesting is that the text was like moving. It was like organic because it was always changing. The versions. It was always a bit blurred sometimes on what really happened because it passed through many filters. So that's what I wanted to give to the audience, like to put the audience in this permanent doubt about the image, and that finally, I mean, the resolution, she's solved in a way. It's not solving totally, but she solved some anxiety because she saw her with a CCTV camera that is just composed of maybe 100 pixels or 200 pixels, and this is what she believed, that it's her, that it's real, that it really happened. And that's the paradox of the film. So we are really what we believe, what keeps you to believe that you're alive, that you're in life, that the things that we were told are real. And sometimes it's just few pixels, It's not the news, it's not all the precise facts that we have. It's just this picture. So what I wanted to do is to really put the audience into like this very subjective reconstruction or representation of her internal reality, plus the amateur video, who are the most like random and spontaneous videos. Like it's not really an angle that you think. It's not really a point of view that you think. It's very subconscious because the screen, like the metaphor of the screen, is very important. Why people are one interesting topic or question that I had constantly in mind is why you use your phone in a very when you are in danger. Like, why are you doing that? If a bomb exploded just before, do you have time to think, to film? I mean, it's an act that requires you a lot of your mind. So one hypothesis is maybe because the screen, like the screen, the metaphor is like it's a protection. Like when you put the cream, solar cream, like it's a screen protection. Like in France, in French we say écran, it makes écran, and this is screen. I don't know if it's the same in English, but the solar cream protects you, and it's called écran, and this is called écran in French, which is the same name. So the screen is protecting, like for the sun with the cream. So maybe it's because of that, and also I wanted that the fragmentation, because why I do this mix is because the mix is also another pattern to represent the fragmentation. Even the editing is fragmented, you know. Mm-hmm. So that was like to link with the visual representation, like everything is fragmented.
I think this is a beautiful, deep insight to end the night with. Thank you, Ismae, for your extra information. Thank you for your analysis of the movie.